Welcome to This Squad Can. This isn't your typical woodworking DIY how-to channel. My name's Jason and I've been a quadriplegic for over 30 years. I'm here to show you what someone in a wheelchair and with only about 10% use of their hands can build. So stick around and watch what this quad can do.
People ask me all the time, how did you do that? So, figured it's time to show you.
I recently received a text from a friend asking if I could make them a rabbit hutch. I figured if I could design and build a chicken coop, then why not? I was sent a couple of pictures, and after narrowing down the style, I got to work figuring out the actual schematics on how to build the hutch. Fortunately, I had recently made a kid's mud kitchen, so I figured I would take those plans and tweak them for this project. After completing the plans and making a cut list, I headed out to Home Depot to pick up supplies. I had most of the boards cut to length there, but still needed to rip some of them down to cut down on the weight. The first thing to construct were the end panels, which were made using 2x4s and fence boards, which were glued and nailed in place. Once the panels were completed, the top and bottom rails were clamped in place and a couple of brad nails were shot in to hold it. Unfortunately, I bumped it a little too hard and the entire thing came crashing down. So I had to start over and figure out a different way to temporarily hold it all in place. Now that it's squared and have it locked in place, I can start adding the back panels. I put in a couple of screws to hold up the bottom board, clamp it in place, and work my way up from there. Time to start the doors. I ripped down a couple of 1x6s, cut them to the desired lengths, then glue and clamp together to make the door frames. Additional fence boards are glued and nailed in place to make the center panels. The other door will have wire mesh on it, so just the frame is made. After a quick sanding of the corners to make them even, the hinges get attached. A couple of bottom frame supports are added to not only add stability to the structure, but also to keep the wire mesh from sagging. I'm using 1/2-inch hardware cloth for the door and bottom of the hutch. This stuff was a beast to get unwound and flattened out. It literally took me an hour and a half from the time I started taking off the wrapper to when I finished cutting off the first section. To save time and frustration, I did enlist some help unrolling the next section. Once the hardware cloth was all cut, I flattened out all the nubs to have a smooth edge to avoid getting burnt. I'm using a pneumatic staple gun to attach the hardware cloth. The larger piece didn't totally flatten out, so I utilized a few more clamps to hold it in place. This definitely made it easier to keep it from shifting. I couldn't reach the back of the frame, so I took the bottom board back off. Problem solved. I hope you're enjoying this video so far and wouldn't mind hitting that like button. Also, as you can see, this was all captured using time-lapse. Take a guess on how long it took me to complete this build and leave your answer in the comments below. Alright, back to the hutch construction. Let's get these doors attached. If you haven't noticed, I like to use clamps. They sort of act like an additional hand for me. After getting the hinges lined up, they can be screwed in, and the centerpiece for the latches is attached. Boards for the front trim get ripped and attached. One of these days I'll make a jig to be able to rip angles, but for now, I'll stick with what's safe for me to do. Before putting the roof on, there's a couple of more housekeeping things to take care of. I take off as much of the rough edges as possible with the sander, and a support piece is added to the back to keep the crossboard snug. The next thing on the list is to make a couple of shelves and a cubby hole of sorts for the bunny to be able to climb and hide under. I had some 1/4-inch plywood, so I ripped that into 4 pieces and glued 2 pieces together so that each shelf was a 1/2 inch thick. After adding on the support brackets and legs, the edges are sanded and the brackets get pre-drilled for attaching to the interior. I also put a couple of coats of water-based polyurethane to add a protective barrier to the tops. Once dried, the shelves are put in place. A little ramp is made for the bunny to get onto the left side, and a bridge connects the 2 shelves together. Let's get the roof attached. I cut and add a couple of cross strips to attach the roof with self-tapping screws. Fits like a glove. We're nearing the end of the build. All that's left is putting on the door latches. Believe it or not, I did 95% of the work on this myself, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. But I think the new resident likes it even better. Hey friend, thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, check out this video and subscribe to the channel to keep up with the latest.